Good morning, classmates, and most especially to our professor. I'm Ivy May Carvalho, your reporter for today, and our topic would be Chapter 4, which is the corporate governance. When we say corporate governance, it has a significant role in strategic management. Having good governance fortifies the corporate mission and philosophy, ensures compliance with government regulations and societal norms, and foster efficiency, fairness, and transparency in management. In this topic, it would be appropriate to start the discussion of corporate governance by citing the observations of the Task Force on Corporate Governance, constituted by the Confederation of Indian Industry, or the CII. So there are three aspects why corporate governance still remains misunderstood phrase according to the CII. First is that there is no unique structure of unique corporate governance in the developed world, meaning to say that the phrase corporate governance is open to one or more interpretation. Second is that Indian companies, banks, and financial institutions can no longer afford to ignore better corporate practices. As India gets integrated in the world market, Indian as well as the international investors will demand greater disclosure, more transparent explanation for major decisions, and better shareholder value. Third, is the corporate governance goes far beyond company law. The quantity, quality, and frequency of financial and managerial disclosure, the extent to which the board of directors exercise their responsibilities towards shareholders, the quantity of information that the management share with their boards, and the commitment to run transparent companies that maximize long-term shareholder value. So ito siya is nag-evolve due to the catalytic role played by the more progressive elements within the corporate sector, and thus enhance the corporate transparency and responsibility. Now let us define what is corporate governance. So as per Cadbury report, corporate governance is the system by which the business are directed and controlled. Corporate governance is concerned with holding the balance between economic and social goals and between the individual and communal goals. Also, corporate governance may be defined as a set of systems, process, and principles which ensures that the company is governed in the best interest of all the stakeholders. In other words, good corporate governance is simply good business. It ensures adequate disclosure and effective decision making to achieve corporate objectives. While corporate management is concerned with the efficiency of the resource use, value addition, and wealth creation within broad parameters of the corporate philosophy established by the corporate governance. Now let's go to the importance of corporate governance. Studies of firms in India and abroad have shown that markets and investors take notice of well-managed companies, respond positively to them, and reward such companies with higher valuations. A common feature of such companies is that they have systems in place which allow sufficient freedom to the boards and management to take decisions towards the progress of their companies and to innovate while remaining within a framework of effective accountability. Another important aspect of corporate governance relates to issues of insider trading. So as we all know that having valuable information could be used for the advantage of a person or a company. So to prevent this from happening, corporates are expected to disseminate the materials, price-sensitive information in a timely and proper manner, and also to ensure that till such information is made public, insiders abstain from transacting in the securities of the company. Let us now move on to the corporate governance determinants. Now, there are some prerequisites for good corporate governance, and they are first, a proper system consisting of clearly defined and adequate structure of roles, authority, and responsibility. So, obviously, no, if there is a uh, defined structure of roles, authority, and responsibility, then there would be an order in a certain company. Second prerequisite for good governance is that the vision, principles, and norms which indicate the development path, normative considerations, and guidelines for performance. Third is the proper system for guiding, monitoring, reporting, and control. So basically, for me, the goal here to have a good corporate governance is to be orderly, transparent, and decisive to what you're going to do and where you are headed. Now for the external determinants. So, as the OECD Business Sector Advisory Group reports on corporate governance, it emphasized the corporate governance should remain primarily a private sector prerogative. Since governments have a distinct and important responsibility in providing a regulatory framework that allows investors, enterprises to adopt corporate governance practices to rapidly changing circumstances. On the regulatory side, the report noted that the government interventions are most effective when consistently and expeditiously enforced. They should focus on first to fairness. It means that protecting shareholders' right and ensuring that enforceability of contracts with resource providers. So, second one is they should focus on transparency, wherein it requires timely disclosure of adequate information or on corporate financial performance. And for me personally, I think it is really important for the company to be transparent, most especially to when it comes to finances. Next is the accountability. So it is where clarifying governance roles and responsibilities and supporting voluntary efforts to ensure the alignment of managerial and shareholders' interests as monitored by the board of directors or in certain nations. Lastly is they should focus on responsibility, wherein ensuring corporate compliance with the other laws and regulations that reflect society's value, including a broad sensitivity to the objectives of the society in which corporations operate. So other than the external determinants, we also have an internal determinants. The corporate governance culture and practice of an organizations are shaped by the factors such as its legacy, vision, mission, policies, norms, governance structure, powers, and responsibilities of the key constituents. Person holding the position in an organization or the other people that are vital to the corporation. So for the board of directors, the Birla Committee observes that the pivotal role in any system of corporate governance is performed by the BOD or Board of Directors. It is accountable to the stakeholders and directs and controls the management. It rewards the company, sets its strategic aim and financial goals, and oversees their implementation. So, it puts into place the adequate internal controls and periodically reports the activities and progress of the company in a transparent manner to the stakeholders. Next is the shareholders. One of the primary purposes of the corporate governance shall be the protection of interest of shareholders. These shareholders place their trust in corporations to use their investment fund wisely and effectively. The shareholders have an important role in corporate governance by exercising their powers and rights. So according to the Birla Committee, the shareholders' role in corporate governance is to appoint the directors and the auditors and to hold the board accountable for the proper governance of the company by requiring the board to provide them periodically with the requisite information in a transparent information as well. Lastly is the management. The third key internal constituent of corporate governance is the management. So according to Birla Committee, it points out that the responsibility of the management is to undertake the management of the company in terms of direction provided by the board and to put into place adequate control systems and to ensure their operations and to provide information to the board on a timely basis and in transparent manner to enable the board to monitor the accountability management to it. Finally, there are benefits of good corporate governance. So there are several benefits of good corporate governance, wherein first, good governance provides proper framework for efficient management of the organization, ensuring complete transparency, integrity, and accountability of the management. Next is a well-governed company protects the rights and interests of the shareholders and maximizes long-term shareholder value. So, because basically, the primary objectives of good corporate governance is maximization of long-term value of the company for its shareholders and other partners. The next one is that good corporate governance provides proper direction for long-term development of the organization. Next is that companies which are governed properly often enjoy better relationship and terms with suppliers, buyers, and marketing intermediaries. Next one is that the well-governed companies are better in position to attract foreign capital, technical collaborations, and businesses. The next one is that good governance helps a company to attract and retain efficient independent directors, managerial, and other human resources. Lastly, good governance will help gain goodwill of consumers and the public. So I think that's it for Chapter 4, the corporate governance. This is your reporter, Ivy May Carvalho. Thank you so much for listening.